ما تفعلون إن الأبرار لفي نعيم وإن الفجار لفي جحيم يصلونها يوم الدين وما هم عنها بغائبين وما أدراك ما يوم الدين ثم ما أدراك ما يوم الدين يوم لا تملك نفس لنفس شيئا والأمر يومئذ لله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
محمد زہر ناحق سے باقر کو مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے زہر ناحق سے باقر کو مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے ہو گیا ہے جگر پارا پارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے زہر ناحق سے باقر کو مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے کیا ملا ظلم باقر پہ کر کے رو رہے ہیں سبھی دل پکڑ کے کیا ملا ظلم باقر پہ کر کے رو رہے سبھی دل پکڑ کے یہ تھا سجاد کے دل کا پیارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے یہ تھا سجاد کے دل کا پیارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے ہائے جعفر بھی ہے روتے جاتے اور کہتے ہیں آنسو بہاتے ہائے جعفر بھی ہے روتے جاتے اور کہتے ہیں آنسو بہاتے میرے بابا کو ظالم نے مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے میرے بابا کو ظالم نے مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے آئی زہرا کی آواز پر غم گھر میں ہے آج پھر میرے ماتم آئی زہرا کی آواز پر غم گھر میں ہے آج پھر میرے ماتم میرے بے کس کو بے جرم مارا یا الہی یہ کیسا ستم ہے میرے بے کس کو بے جرم مارا یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے،
کیا دیا خوب اجر رسالت، آج لرزا ہے احمد کی تربت،
کیا دیا خوب اجر رسالت، آج لرزا ہے احمد کی تربت،
عرش سے قدسیوں نے پکارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے، عرش سے
قدسیوں نے پکارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے،
خاک غش گر پر ابن باقر، کہہ رہے ہیں سبھی در پہ آ کے،
آگے کش گر پڑے ابن باقر، سبھی در پہ آ گئے،
کوئی جعفر کو دے دے سہارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے،
کوئی جعفر کو دے دے سہارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے،
کیسے لکھوں یہ عشرت قلم سے، اشک آنکھوں میں اب نہیں تھمتے،
کیسے لکھوں یہ عشرت قلم سے، اشک آنکھوں میں اب نہیں تھمتے،
ہائے آدان باقر کو مارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے،
آئے آدان باقر کو مارا، یا الہی
کیسا ستم ہے، زہر ناحق سے باقر کو مارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے، ہو گیا ہے جگر پارا پارا، یا الہی کیسا ستم ہے۔ اللهم من قرأ الفاتحة.
One more salawat in the name of our 12th Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو، شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا، کہاں جائے آخر بیابان ہر سو، شکستہ ہے پہلو اکیلی ہے زہرا، رونے کو پہرا مصائب کا صحرا، اکیلی ہے زہرا، در فاطمہ کو जलाया है तुमने, किया वादा अपना, बुलाया है तुमने। तमाचे न मारो मुसलमानों जाओ, अली को बुलाओ, अकेली है ज़हरा। रोने को पहरा मसाइब का सहरा, अकेली है ज़हरा। बयां किससे जाकर करूं दर्द अपना, है गैरों की दुनिया नहीं कोई अपना। कोई जाके बाबा से कह दो ये जाकर, खिले जाऊं आकर, अकेली है ज़हरा। पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु रहमल्लाहु मन करा अल-फातिहा। أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد. روحي وجسمي وارواح العالمين لك الفداك يا ابن رسول الله. ثم السلام عليكم يا أهل الأعضاء الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله كونوا مع الصادقين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Tonight we have gathered here on this very special night. Whenever I come to Mombasa for the last 50 years, I have seen Mombasa just the way it was 50 years ago. Things don't change in many parts of the world. This tradition of majalises that we are all attending, we don't realize what is the benefit of coming to the mosque here and hearing this majalis. After all, what is the reason for doing that? We look at our calendars, we see that there is a wafat, there is a khushaali. It is unfortunate sometimes that we take the imams that are panjatan to be higher and say कि nana imamuni wafat. There is no nana imam. Imam is an imam, regardless of whether he is the first imam or the last imam. One of the things that happened in the time of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, Fuzail bin al-Basri is a companion of our sixth Imam. He's sitting there and Imam comes and sits right next to him. And he says, Fuzail, do you ever have a gathering where you talk about Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam? And he said, Na'am, of course, he says to Imam that we always do that. Imam alayhi salam said, Uhibbutikal majalis. He used the word majlis, majalis. Imam says to him, I love majalises. When people sit and talk about Ahlul Bayt, do you know what happens? He said, you give life to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. When we come here, we sit, we hear, and we try and follow Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But to be here, the honor that we get, for we cannot see it with our own eyes. Although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept our communities around the world in the best of shapes, regardless of any issues, political issues, economical issues, no matter what you say, one thing is for sure, that the most protected community is our Shia communities. Regardless of what you see out there. We have been well protected. We are protected because we have kept this alive of Ahlul Bayt. And that is the beauty of this majalis. When I say there has not been a change, it doesn't mean anything else. It just means that the vital traditions of our community have always been maintained by our Jamaats. No matter where we are, regardless. You look at Thursday nights, I come from US, and I visit many, many communities. Even those communities that have 10 people, Thursday nights are still alive in those communities. And that is the beauty. And this is what Imam alayhi salam is teaching us, that it's very beautiful. He said, you're giving life to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam when you gather and talk about Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Tonight, we have the Shahadat of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. We send our condolences to the Holy Prophet and to all of A'immah Masumin alayhim as-salam on the occasion of this Shahadat. Tell me how many of us, frankly, put your hand on your heart and tell me how many of us know the name of the wife of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. Really. This is a Ja'fariya community. We are part of Ja'fariya community. If somebody asked us that question, even when I was looking at history of our fifth Imam, even I was wondering when that question was brought to me and said, who is the wife? Who is the mother of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam? Who is the mother? So let's talk about her, because it is very, very important. There are lessons to be learned from her life, and see what we can take today from here. I always believe that in majalises, topics should be such that people take something with them. And I love when somebody says, I was sitting in my car and my children were talking to me about the subject today. Because that is the whole idea, that is the whole concept. The concept should not be that as soon as I leave that door, I have no idea what was talked about. You ask me tomorrow, I will not know. But you look at the life of this lady, an absolutely amazing lady in Islamic history. Her name was Fatima. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam was asked about the name Fatima, he said, even if I had 1,000 daughters, I would name all of them Fatima. If I had thousands of sons, I would name all of them Ali. Therefore, her name was Fatima, and she was known as Farwa. You know where her connection is? Her connection from the mother's side and from the father's side, from both sides, goes to Abu Bakr, the Khalifa of Muslims. Both of them. It connects up there. Then you look at our fifth Imam himself. Look at his connection. His connection comes from Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Connecting from both Imams. Each of this Imam gave their daughters to their brother's son or daughter. Each of them. Imam Hussain gave Fatima Kubra to Hassan Muthanna. Hassan Muthanna means second Hassan. First was Hazrat Hassan. He was the second Hassan. It was given to him. Then when it came to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he gave his daughter to Imam Zainul Abidin. And that way is where the connection of the fifth Imam comes, from both Imams. But you look at this Farwa, and it's quite amazing. Her father came from Qasim. Qasim was the name. His father was Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr. Who was Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr? He was among one of the most devoted follower of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. At the age of 3, he loses his father. Abu Bakr dies. He was married to Asma bint Umays. Asma bint Umays was the wife of Ja'far al-Tayyar. From Ja'far al-Tayyar, when he died, then she marries Abu Bakr. They get one child named Muhammad. He was only 3 years of age when his father Abu Bakr passed away. His entire life then he spent under Mawla Kainat. He grew up under the guardianship of Imam Ali alayhi salam. What did the Muslims do to Muhammad? For no reason. The only reason was that he was a lover of Ali ibn Abi Talib. You know, he was the type of a man that did not matter which family he came from. It did not matter to him at all. He didn't care about that. What was important to him was truth and justice. That was very important for him. Regardless of where and what conditions he might have lived in, regardless of that, what was important for him was truth and justice. Where there was truth and justice, he was there. To the extent that Imam Ali alayhi salam had said that Muhammad will be one of those sons of mine that I will call upon on the day of judgment. To that extent, ask the Muslim Ummah today, ask them, what did you do with the son of Abu Bakr? After all, what was his fault? They killed him. And how did they kill him? They took him and put him inside the stomach of a dead donkey. They pushed him inside and then they burned the donkey. This is how they killed him. And it was this Muhammad, whose son was Qasim. Then came Farwa. If you look on the other side, the mother's side, Asma bint Umais was the mother. Asma bint Umais had a father called Abdul Rahman. He was also the son of Abu Bakr. So when it comes to Farwa, both of these connections were to Abu Bakr. She was such a dedicated woman. It is said that she was such a dedicated social woman, that she was a pure social worker. She used to say that when it came to my husband, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, that he used to pray for his followers 1,000 times day and night. He prepaid and he did his dua for all of us that we are here today. This is what our fifth Imam has done. It is his dedication and his services to the community. History says that if you look at the hadiths, nearly 70,000 hadiths were written by the sixth and the fifth Imam. No one had written this many hadiths. No one. And it was the time that they received during the change of the administrations and the kingdoms that they found a gap in between to make sure that they gave the religious teachings to the Ummah. This Farwa It is said that if you saw her dedication and how she used to pray and how she used to behave in the society, it is absolutely amazing to hear about Farwa. But you look at on one side and you look at our fifth Imam, one of the things that you all have heard is the name of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. Everybody has heard that. Jabir lived from the time of the Holy Prophet until the time of the fifth Imam. Quite amazing that he survived so long until the time of the fifth Imam. And he was blind by the time the fifth Imam was born. He was already blind. And being that he was blind, he is considered to be the first Zawar that walked towards the grave of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. First Zawar. Outside of our fourth Imam, those who are with him. Today, 20 million people annually go in the Arba'in and then they walk towards the grave, the shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. That is the sunnah of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. Remember him always. Because the Holy Prophet said, when Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, when Imam Ali Zainul Abidin and Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Hussain, Imam Hassan, one of the messages that the Holy Prophet always gave to these Imams is their connection to the rest of the Imamate until the 12th Imam. During the lifetime of the Holy Prophet. Not afterwards. During the lifetime. And here it is where it's quite interesting that Imam Ali Zainul Abidin takes the hand of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam and goes towards the house of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. An Imam who is walking towards the house of their companion. It's not the other way around. They go there. When they arrive there, our sixth Imam says to his father, and then the fourth Imam. But the fourth Imam says to his son, he said, why don't you go and kiss the forehead of this old uncle of yours? He called him uncle. न के किदू क्या बुढ़ो जी तो आ बुढ़ाना माथा ऊपर किस करी आपने. Look at the respect and honor he gives. He says, he's your uncle. He tells the fifth Imam goes, gets close to him and gives him a kiss on his forehead. The moment Imam gives the kiss on his forehead, Imam said that I can smell a fragrance that I haven't smelled in my life. You must be someone very unique. And he said, yes, I am the son of Imam Ali Zainul Abidin. And he was very young at the time. And Jabir says, come here, sit down. Sit down next to me, let me tell you something. He says, listen, he says, I was at the home of the Holy Prophet, and he had conveyed me the message that Jabir, you will only live to the point where you will get the opportunity to say salam to another Muhammad. And that Muhammad was the first Muhammad after the Holy Prophet was given the name of Muhammad in the Ahlul Bayt. So when that happened, he said, the Holy Prophet said, Jabir, when you see him, give him my salams. Convey him my salams. Coming from the Holy Prophet till the fifth Imam. Jabir gives him the salam of the Holy Prophet. Imagine we're all awaiting for the arrival of our 12th Imam, Imam Sahibul Asri wal Zaman. And we are reminded daily with the incidents that are happening overseas. And I don't want to talk about that politics. But whatever is happening out there, things are not getting any better, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Day in and day out. There is a man who wrote a book called Civilization of History. He said, one thing you will notice in this world, he said, one thing you will notice in this world is what happens in the past will always come into the present. The very people who urged the world that what happened to us was injustice are now performing injustice. That's how it is. This is how the world is running now. They've forgotten what happened. Now it's the other people. And this is how it rotates. The fifth Imam was one of those Imams that introduced the currency at that time. The currency that was used at that time was the Roman currency. And Imam said, this is not the way an Islamic nation operates, with dependent on an outside force. So what did he do? Imam alayhi salam introduced the first coin in that regime. That was his biggest contribution that he gave. And another thing that was very important was Hisham bin Abdul Malik, a corrupted leader. He was so corrupt that he goes to Mecca for Hajj. And he tries to go and touch the stone. Hajar Aswad, he tried to go there and touch it, but he could not touch it. There were so many people, even today, it's the same situation. But even then, it was the same situation. People could not touch Hajar Aswad. So he goes, he cannot reach Hajar Aswad. And then he sees somebody walking towards Hajar Aswad, and people were breaking up the lines to give him the roadway to Hajar Aswad. That was who? That was Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam, father and son. When this man saw that, he did not like it, of course. He said, who are these people? He said, these are the people who claim themselves to be the divine leaders. He said, really? He said, yes. And he became so jealous about that. So he asks the governor of Medina, send them to Damascus, he says. I will be in my court in Damascus. I want to see them come there. Both of these Imams, they went to Damascus. They went into the court. You know what they did to him, to both of those Imams? No different than what they did to Janab Zainab Salamullah. They were kept waiting outside for hours and hours. He ordered his people, don't let these people inside the castle until I tell you so. And it was hours and hours. They stood up in the sun, both father and son. They came inside. They were brought inside. Imam alayhi salam sat down with him. They had a discussion. I don't have the time to talk about the discussion. But they had a discussion. And then when it was all over, Hisham says to himself that if these two live here in Damascus, then I will not survive. So he sends them back to Medina. He says, go back to Medina. As soon as they came out of Damascus, they saw a crowd of Christians sitting there. And so Imam asked one of these Christians, "What are you guys doing here?" He said, "We are waiting for our priest, the high priest. He's an old man. He's going to come and give us nasiha." So Imam said, "Okay, I'll wait and see who is this." The old priest comes inside, gathers near where the gathering is. But before he starts, he sees the faces, the two faces of an Imam. The moment he saw that, he stopped. He said, "Who are these people?" He says to Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam, he said, "Who are you? Are you a scholar? Or a son of a scholar? Or are you an ignorant person?" What do you think we would tell somebody? If somebody asked me, "Are you a son of a scholar?" Or I would say, "I'm a scholar's son," of course. That's not what Imam said. Imam said, "I am not the son of an ignorant person." Look at his humility and humbleness. He says, "I'm not." He said, "Really?" He said, "But you look like someone who has enormous amount of knowledge." He said, "Whatever knowledge we have comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not ours, it is His. We are just here to convey that." And you know what that padri, that priest said? He said, "Today I will not give anybody any lecture." And he walked away and went into his cave. He could not stand in front of Imam alayhi salam to talk. Those same Christians then turned around and asked Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam to convey the knowledge that he has. And this is how Imam stood in front of these Christians and gave them a knowledge. His wife, Farwa, the grandfather, Muhammad, he was born on the way to Mecca. The Holy Prophet was given Muhammad. He takes Muhammad in his hand. He takes a piece of khajur, date, puts it in his mouth, the Holy Prophet, and places it in the mouth of Muhammad. But look at what happened. When you look at the life of our fourth Imam, fifth Imam, sixth Imam, you find that when you look at Imam, Imam lived for 57 years. Very young. And he was born in the 57th Hijri, coincidentally. He dies, and he dies how? This same Hisham bin Abdul Malik poisons him. How does he poison him? He takes the saddle that was on the camel. Saddle. Not by mouth, the saddle. The saddle was covered with a powerful poison. And Imam alayhi salam sits on that camel. The poison penetrates into his body. And this Imam alayhi salam, Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam had said that when Imam Ali Zainul Abidin, my grandfather, passed away, at that moment, I saw my father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. He rushed towards his father, Imam Ali Zainul Abidin. And he hugged him by putting his head on the chest of our fourth Imam. And Imam said, "Muhammad, oh Muhammad, oh Muhammad." He says 3 times to Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. And he says, Then he started to cry. And this Imam said he cried so much that I asked, Baba, why are you crying so much? And he said, today you are hugging me on my chest. But on the day of Ashura, my father was hugged by Hussain. He sat on the chest of my father. Allahu Akbar. عزیزانے گرامی میں کیا کہوں آپ کو تاریخ کہتی ہے کہ امام 4 سال یا 3 سال کے تھے یہ بھی اس بچوں میں موجود تھے جو عباس کے پاس پانی کے لیے گئے تھے آپ ذرا سوچئے ایک 3-4 سال کا بچہ اور up to 57 years he lived. Imagine what he must have gone through in his life. The trauma that he faced from the age of 4. آج لوگ مکے میں ہے شاید مینا کی طرف جا رہے ہیں لیکن جب امام محمد الباقر علیہ السلام کا آخری وقت آیا تو امام جعفر صادق کو فرمایا کہ بیٹا میرے پاس کچھ پیسے ہیں میں تمہیں دے دیتا ہوں بیٹا ہر سال مینا میں مجالس کرنا ارے اللہ ہماری مجالسی کو قبول کرے لیکن امام نے فرمایا اپنے بیٹے کو ادھر جا کر مجلس کرنا اور ہمیں یاد کرنا ارے بیٹا یہ 10 سال تک رکھنا تاریخ کہتی ہے آج تک مینا میں امام محمد الباقر کی مجالس ہوتی ہے آج بھی لیکن اس کی قبر ویران ہے آج سب لوگ چلے گئے ہیں امام کی قبر پر کوئی نہیں ہے ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم بحق محمد وأنت المحمود بحق علي وأنت الأعلى بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض بحق الحسن وأنت المحسن بحق الحسين وأنت قديم الإحسان إلهي توبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت والنجاة من النار ودخولا في الجنة وعافية من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة ماتم مسلم
واقعے کا آج اٹھا
یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ لے کر چلے ہیں زخم دل میں لیے بہاتر، لے کر چلے ہیں زخم دل میں لیے بہاتر، دیکھا ہے کم سنی میں منظر جو کربلا کا، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ کرتے ہیں یاد رو کر اصغر کی ماں کو باقر، کرتے تھے یاد رو کر اصغر کی ماں کو باقر، کربل کے بعد پایا پانی نہ کوئی سایہ، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ لمحہ تھا حشر کا وہ جب باپ اور بیٹا، لمحہ تھا حشر کا وہ جب باپ اور بیٹا مل کر بنا رہے تھے ہے تربت سکینہ، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ ایک پل نہ چین پایا باقر نے زندگی میں، ایک پل نہ چین پایا باقر نے زندگی میں، 40 سال بابا کو خون روتے دیکھا، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ مولا ملا ہے تم کو تابوت بھی کفن بھی، مولا ملا ہے تم کو تابوت بھی کفن بھی، بے غسل و بے کفن تھا مقتل میں شہ کا لاشا، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ رکتے نہیں ہیں آنسو مولا کے وقت آخر، رکتے نہیں ہیں آنسو مولا کے وقت آخر، کیا یاد آ رہا ہے اصغر کا مسکرانا، باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا، یثرب میں جنازہ خیرات درد ملتی میسم کو ہے یہیں سے، خیرات درد ملتی میسم کو ہے یہیں سے، کیونکہ جہان والوں یہ در ہے حل عطا کا، باقر کا آج اٹھا یسرب میں جنازہ باقر آج اٹھا یسرب میں جنازہ بادل یتیم کا ہے جعفر کے سر پہ چھایا باقر کا آج اٹھا یسرب میں جنازہ باقر کا آج اٹھا یسرب میں جنازہ. سورہ مبارکۃ الفاتحہ.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. આવતીકાલે શુક્રવાર તારીખ 14 જૂન રાતના 7:15 વાગે મહેફિલે બીબી ઝૈનબ અને મહેફિલે બીબી સકીના અલૈહિમ અસ્સલામમાં વફાતની મજલિસમાં સર્વે બાયો તથા ભાઈઓ પધારજો. શનિવાર તારીખ 15 જૂન સાંજના 5:15 વાગે મહેફિલે પંચતની કબ્રસ્તાનમાં હઝરત મુસ્લિમ ઇબ્ન અકીલ અલૈહિસ્સલામની શહાદતની મજલિસમાં સર્વે ભાઈઓ પધારજો. ત્યારબાદ રાતના 7:30 વાગે અત્રે હુસૈન ઝહરામાં હઝરત મુસ્લિમ અલૈહિસ્સલામની શહાદતની મજલિસમાં સર્વે બાયો તથા ભાઈઓને પધારવાની વિનંતી છે. અહસન તવજ્જો ઝરા. અસ્સલામુ અલૈકા યા રસૂલ અલ્લાહ, અસ્સલામુ અલૈકા યા અમીર અલ-મુઅમિનીન, અસ્સલામુ અલૈકા યા ફાતિમત ઝહરાઈ સૈયદતિન નિસાઇલ આલમીન, અસ્સલામુ અલૈકા યા હસન અલ-મુજતબા, السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وأخيك أبو الفضل العباس وأختيك زينب وأم كلثوم وبنتك سكينة. السلام عليك يا أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله مخرجك وظهور الأمن ورحمة الله وبركاته.